What?
What?
What the hell is this?
Harumph. I didn't get a harumph out of that guy.
Give the governor harumph.
Harumph!
You watch your ass.
I see you shiver with anticipation.
Let the show begin.
Hey everybody, this is David Heretic coming at you with another edition of Reactions, Reviews, and Rants. And tonight, okay, making their debut on the channel tonight, we have ISIS. Yes, indeed, how about that? ISIS making their debut on the channel. This comes as a request from Mark Deccan, and this is actually Mark Deccan's prioritized request for the month of January for being a silver tier member on the Patreon page. So here you go, Mark. I hope you enjoy the show, man. Mark wanted to see me react to this song by ISIS called Ghost Key. Now, have I heard the song before? No. To the best of my knowledge, I've never heard the song before. It does not resonate with me in any way, shape, or form. However, there's always a possibility I may have heard the song in passing and I just don't realize it. So as always, if I start listening to the song and I suddenly go, wait a second, I've heard this song before, I'll let you know.
That's the truth.
You know me, I'm going to be honest with you guys. This was posted by Bayakuya00, okay? And the video has 341,453 views. It'll get you there. Other than that, there's really nothing else left to say. Link to the original video will be down below in the description for your viewing pleasure at your leisure. Let's get started. What do you say? Are you ready? Are you ready? Because here we go. Alright, here we go. ISIS, Ghost Key. That's all there is to it. Alright, let's do this.
Alright, boy, let's do this!
Okay. Okay. I'm sorry. I was not expecting those vocals. I'll be honest with you. I thought this was going to be an instrumental. Like the first minute went by and there was no vocals, no lead in to the vocals. The melodic lines were not developing in a way that led me to believe that there were going to be vocals. There was no modular change or shift at all in the chordal pattern. So I'm like, okay, so this is going to be just a straight instrumental. And the funny thing is, with the way the groove was going, I was okay with that. I was fine with that. I'm digging this. I'm digging this groove that they've got going on within the instrumental. It sounds really good and it feels good. And then those vocals came in. I was like, what? I was a little taken back for two reasons. One, I wasn't expecting vocals at all. Two, the vocals that came in, that was, of all the vocal styles, that could have fit with how this groove is going. I did not see that coming. I did not. So it kind of threw me for a loop a little bit. But I mean, here's the thing though. It wasn't bad. It wasn't bad at all. It sounded good. I wasn't ready for it. That's all. But I'm really digging the guitar work. And I'll tell you why later. I'm not going to go into it right now. I've wasted enough of your time. So let's continue. I will get to why I'm digging the guitar work in a little bit, and the bass playing as well. They're both doing something that I'll get into it later. Let's keep going for right now. This might be a bridge. Totally different drum pattern than what they were doing previously. One of the things that kind of stuck out to me in the drum pattern in the beginning, like through the first and the second phrase, the drum pattern they were doing, in particular the snare. The snare was hitting on the and of 2 and on the downbeat of 4. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 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 it's very catchy. It's very catchy. That snare really helped kind of shape how the song was going to flow and how it was going to move along, which was really cool. It was really well done. Now the drummer is playing more of a straight ahead, hit on that 4 alone, and I think that's what he's doing. Hold on a second, I might be wrong about that. On 3. So it's on 3. Okay, so now he's shifted to just a straight single accent, single hit for the snare on 3. Interesting. It's a nice shift, and it leads me to believe this may be... It might be a bridge of some sort. That's what I'm feeling. I don't know if I'm right about that, but it feels like it's going that direction. That musical interlude where the drums laid out, it was nice. Actually, I'm actually kind of surprised. I actually like that. It was appropriate. It was absolutely appropriate. And I like the staggered entrance of adding the bass in, halfway through. That was really cool. There is more I want to say about the guitars and the bass. I know I said I would talk about it last time, but I want to get back to the song. But I have not forgotten. I promise I have not forgotten, because it's a big point. Now, whether that's a good big point or a bad big point, I'm not going to say. I'm going to leave you in suspense. You have to wait and see.
Suck!
Let's keep going here. there's a lot of different parts to this song, like a lot of different phrases. They're not going back to the same old, 2-3 phrase, setup and construction of the song like a lot of other bands do. There's been like 5 or 6 different phrases now that they've gone into, and it's cool. I'll tell you why it's cool for me anyway. I don't know about anybody else, but for me personally, you can't get bored with this. You can't, because the song, you don't know what's coming next. You think you know. Like, I was thinking right there, I was thinking they were going to go back into that first groove that they had at the beginning with the, with the upbeat of 2 and downbeat of 4 with the snare. But no, it's going back into that halftime feel, but a different structure within that halftime feel. A completely different phrase structure. So it's keeping me guessing. There's usually I can predict pretty accurately where a song's going to go and where a song's going to go to, and what phrase is coming next. I can't even venture a guess with this band. I can't. At least not with this song. There may be other songs that are a little more repetitive, but so far, this is definitely keeping me engaged. It's keeping me guessing. It's keeping me on my toes. And I can appreciate a song for that alone, as long as it sounds good. Look, you could put 100 different phrases into a song, but if it sounds terrible, and it sounds disjointed, and it sounds incoherent, I guess is a good way to put it, it doesn't make any sense at all. It's not fun. It's not enjoyable. It's just confusing. This isn't confusing. It's all hitting the recurring theme, but they're just evolving each phrase into a different phrase within that recurring theme and within the context of that recurring theme. So that's cool. That's really cool. I dig it. Still not going to talk about the guitars and bass yet. Still not. I may just, you know what? I may just keep that to the end. I don't know. I'll think about it. Let's keep going for right now. Now let's go into the street side. Sounded to me like that last couple phrases, it almost sounded like the bass took over the main melodic line. I couldn't tell. Here's the thing. Guitar was playing a line, bass was playing a line. Now, the reason I'm leaning more toward bass carrying the main melodic line is the bass playing was more consistent. It was more consistently playing, whereas the guitar line was a little more sparse. almost like a response, or maybe even just like a counter melodic line or a harmonic line over what the bass was doing, and sometimes under as well. So I'm leaning toward the bass taking over the melodic line there. I think that's what happened, and I'm always in favor of that. I'm a bass player. Of course I'm going to be in favor of that. Come on. Got a minute and 20. Wow. Oh. I didn't even look at the time. I didn't even look at the time of the beginning. This is an 8-minute long song. It doesn't feel like it, though. It only feels like it's been like 5 minutes. 7 minutes have gone by, but it only feels like about 5 have gone by. It's always the sign of a good song when time flies. It's always the sign of a good song. Let's finish this out, and then we'll get to the review. I liked it. I mean, I not usually the biggest fan of long songs, especially if they're boring, but this wasn't boring at all. Let me gather my thoughts here. There's a lot I want to say, but I don't want to talk for like 20 minutes. So I'm going to see if I can condense it down to like 10 and, or hopefully shorter. We'll see. Then again, I may just go off for 20 minutes. I don't know. It depends on how I'm feeling, I guess. Let me gather my thoughts. I'll see you in the review. We'll talk about it. Well, there you go, folks. That was ISIS with Ghost Key. This was a request from Mark Decken, and this was actually Mark's prioritized request for the month of January for being a silver tier member on the Patreon page. So, there you go, Mark. I hope you enjoyed the show, man. On a scale of 1 to 10, I'm going to give that an 8.2. Yep, 8.2. I feel great about that score. Let me tell you why.
Why?
Okay, first of all, let me just say right off the gun, I had a good time listening to this. Long songs, for me, I scrutinize a lot more and I'm a lot tougher on. And there's a reason for that. A long song can be really great or it can be really horrible. I equate long songs to, how should I put this? The capacity for torture. How about that? When you have a song that you really enjoy, like this one, 8 minutes long. Okay, that's not chump change. That's an 8-minute long song, okay? If the time flies and it feels good and you're enjoying yourself, it's a great experience. It really is. You have a lot of fun doing it. On the flip side, if it's a bad song and I have to sit here and listen to an 8-minute long song that's horrible, I equate it to torture. Imagine being tortured in the worst way you possibly can imagine, okay? One of my favorites was hanging upside down, being hung, okay, let me rephrase that. Being hung by your toenails with fish hooks through your toenails, hanging you upside down, and having red hot needles inject acid into the webbing between your toes while you're hanging upside down. Imagine having that done to you. Now, would you rather have that done to you for 3 minutes, or would you rather have that done to you for 8 minutes? Okay? This is what I equate bad songs to, is torture. So, when you have a bad song, the longer it goes, the more torturous it is, the harder I'm gonna be on it. Trust me. I'm gonna be super tough on those. But this was not in that category. No, this was enjoyable. It did not, when I played the song, usually, I don't know why I didn't this time, but for some reason, I didn't look at how long the song was. I don't know why, I didn't look for some reason or another. But, when I saw that we had already done 7 minutes, I was like, really? This did not feel like 7 minutes. This felt like 5. I mean, the time had flowed really nice. It felt good. The song as a whole felt good. Let's talk about that guitar and let's talk about that bass. I know I was going to talk about them during the song, but I kept getting sidetracked. Well, here we are. Now I got to talk about it. Now, the question on everybody's mind, you know, because I kept referencing it. Is it a good thing or is it a bad thing? It's actually a good thing. Normally, I am not a big fan of guitar and bass that use heavy effects. And let's be honest. Let's be honest here. They were using a lot of effects. They were using a ton of delay, flange, chorus, distortion. They had effects. Now, here's my stance on effects. And I know I've talked about this in the past, but I'm going to talk about it again here. Here's how I stand. Here's my stance on effects. I don't mind effects as long as they are used for properly in the manner that they are supposed to be used for, okay? Meaning they enhance what's being played. They add to what is being played. Now, a lot of bands will use a lot of effects, and they stack the effects so heavy and so deep that you lose track of the song. Or worse, they use the effects to take care of the musicality for them. That was not the case here. They were playing just fine. What they played, I could hear everything they were playing. They were just using the effects to enhance what they were playing. They were using effects properly. So I got no issue with that. Even the delay, okay, if I'm being honest here, the delay was a little heavy for my taste, okay? But I do see how the delay, being as long, a long decay as it was being used with each accent building on top of what was, you know, already happening throughout the decay. So it was just being added onto it. And honestly, like I said, I'm not normally a big fan of that, but in the context of this song, it makes sense. It does make sense. Am I the biggest fan of it? No. But it does make sense in the context of the song. So I got no issue with it. I was really surprised to hear a lot of those same effects on bass, which was really cool though. And it worked because the bass wasn't too bottom heavy. I normally like a bass that is, you know, got a full bottom sound with a little bit of mid and some highs in there for attack. That's usually like the smile curve. That's usually my favorite bass tone. There wasn't a whole lot of bottom end in this bass. There really wasn't. I mean, it was there, but it was like the bass tone was at like probably about a 3. Mids were at about a 5 or a 6, and then treble was at like 7 or 8. You know, it was very mid and high range heavy. But again, for the context of this song, with all the effects that were being used, that's a good thing. Because if it had been bottom end heavy, that bottom end, every time you hit the string, would resonate and be built upon until you hear nothing but in your ears, and you don't want that. You really don't want that. So if you're going to be using delay with a long decay like they were doing, along with a flange or chorus, I'm not sure if it was flange or chorus, but it was one of those two, to boot on top of that, you don't want a whole lot of bottom end on that bass. So they mixed the bass really well. They found a really good bass tone for it. The highlight for me in this song, honestly, was the drumming. The drumming on this was fantastic. You talk about relying on changing up the mood and feel and the tone of the song through the drummer. Boy, this is a great example of it. I mean, constantly changing up the feel while keeping to some themes, but still changing up the pattern in a way that fit the context of the song while changing the mood and feel constantly. I mean, he was going halftime, straight time, back to halftime, but when we went back to halftime again, it was a different pattern. I'll give you an example. At the beginning, when they were doing the snare, right? The snare was on the upbeat of 2 and the downbeat of 4. They went into that chorus, they came out of it, they went to that bridge, right? They went back to that halftime feel, but instead of being on the downbeat of 4, the upbeat of 2 and the downbeat of 4, they switched it so that it's only on the downbeat of 3. And that was cool. I mean, that's a great example of what I'm talking about. You don't have to go back and do the same pattern that you were doing before just because you're switching back to that halftime feel again. You don't have to, especially if you're setting up a new phrase. It's actually better if you don't. So in this case, it worked out beautifully. And I also could really appreciate the fact that whenever he would fill in appropriate places. He would fill in a manner that didn't take away or overtake what was being done with the guitar and the bass, especially when they were letting the decay really kind of run its course. He wouldn't overplay and overfill to bury what was happening. No, his drumming was very tasteful. Very tasteful. I absolutely enjoyed that. The vocals on this, I'll be honest with you, I could have done without him. I'll be honest with you. The vocals really had no bearing on this song whatsoever for me. This song could have been absolute and complete instrumental, and I would have been perfectly fine with that. Having said that, though, did the vocals detract from the song? No, they didn't detract. I also, at the same time, don't feel like the vocals really added anything to the song. They were just kind of there. You know, they were just kind of put in there, and it almost felt like the vocals were an afterthought. Like, I almost feel like they recorded this song as an instrumental. They took it to the record company, and the record company said, instrumentals don't sell. You gotta put some vocals in there. So then they went back and they literally just played the track through Pro Tools, and then they just had the vocalist come in and do some stuff. You know, there was no context at all with the vocals. The vocals felt very, not disjointed, very separated from the actual musicianship and from the instrumental. So it like I said, it almost feels like the vocals were an afterthought. Like, well, we'll throw this at the end. You know, I don't think they actually wrote the song with the vocals in mind. It doesn't sound like it. It feels very disjointed. It feels very separated. There's no continuity whatsoever for the vocals in context with the song itself. So I could have done without the vocals, but at the same time, the vocals were not a distraction. They didn't add, they didn't take away, they were just kind of there. So take that for what it's worth. Now, overall, I really did enjoy the song. I think it's a great tune. I think it's a great song. Believe it or not, I think I'm actually going to listen to this again. And I think I might have to check these guys out and see what they're kind of about, because I'm curious now. I'm kind of curious. I kind of got like a... I know people are going to say I'm nuts when I say this, but this was the vibe I was getting from the song. I was getting kind of like a combination of Steely Dan and Tool. And they had a love child, you know? That's the kind of feel I got from the musicianship anyway. Like I said, vocals aside, I could care less about the vocals. The vocals really were, like I said, I feel like they were an afterthought. But musically, I feel like this was like a combination of Steely Dan and Tool. And that's, I know people are going to say that's weird, but think about it. Steely Dan used a ton of delay and flange and chorus and effects, but they always did it in a very tasteful way. But at the same time, this had a lot of the melodic overtones and a lot of the interweavings that Tool, from what I've heard from Tool so far, is known for. You know, they especially things like bass taking over the lead. That's very Tool. So that's how I took it. That's how I interpreted it. I heard the song starting out, and after about a minute, I was like, God, this sounds like a Tool-influenced Steely Dan. Anyway, no, I enjoyed the song. I am going to have to check these guys out on my own and see what they're about, because I'm curious now. I'm curious to know what else they've got. They piqued my curiosity, so I'm going to have to check them out now. Great song. 8.2, I feel, is a very fitting score for the song, so that's where we're going to stay. 8.2, final score, I have spoken. Well, that's going to do it for this edition of Reactions, Reviews, and Rants. Hope you all enjoyed the show. Hopefully I was able to entertain you. If I was able to put a smile on your face and brighten your day, I did my job, and I'm so glad I could do it. If you did enjoy the show, and you would like to see more videos like this, feel free to join the fan base by clicking on that button down there. Yeah, you know the button I'm talking about. Click on that button, join the fan base, and become one of us. Now, for whatever reason, if you don't feel like clicking on that button, that's okay. I still respect you. Also, if you did enjoy the video, please feel free to give the video a thumbs up. It'll do me a world of good, and it will do you absolutely no harm whatsoever. Finally, if you do choose to become a member of the fan base, you will find a bell down there that you can click on. By clicking on that bell, it'll keep you up to date on everything happening with this channel, including when new content gets dropped. So, if you want to stay in the know, click on the bell, and you'll stay in the know. Well, that's going to do it for the night, folks. Until next time, this is David Heretic signing off, reminding you to stay fabulous and support each other. Later. Peace.